This is Fox Springfield News at 9. First on Fox.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. We start with breaking news just into our newsroom tonight. One man critically injured and a suspect still at large after a shooting at an Illinois mall. Here's a look at that scene. Let's go to Stacey Skryzak at the breaking news desk for the very latest developments. What are you learning tonight, Stacey?
Yeah, Dee Dee, this happened just about 2 hours ago. This is at a mall in northern Illinois, in Orland Park. That's about 20 miles southwest of Chicago. Here's what we know right now. A 19-year-old man was shot and injured. This is video from the scene. You can see a lot of heavy police presence. He was inside the H&M store in Orland Square Mall. Police don't have anyone in custody, but they do believe that this was a targeted shooting and the suspect knew the victim. Police believe that suspect has since fled the area. Of course, Dee Dee, we will keep you up to date on this developing story just outside of Chicago. Once again, one person in critical condition tonight.
All right, thank you for the update, Stacey. Want to get you a live look over Springfield tonight. Oh, we are tracking some more bitterly cold temperatures. Let's go to Fox's Doug Quick in Champaign right now with a look at what your work week looks like. Doug?
Well, Dee Dee, we're going to see pretty much a full week here of at least an opportunity for some wintry type weather, and we'll detail that for you coming up a little bit later. Overnight tonight, though, we're looking at blustery conditions. Nearly steady temperatures expected through the overnight. Through the course of the day tomorrow, though, temperatures will be rising up into the upper 30s by this time tomorrow evening, but we're also looking at rain showers and freezing rain. Even some wintry conditions across the northern part of the state with winter weather advisories that will be in effect through the course of the day tomorrow. There's the rain showers. Behind it, we'll see much cooler air start to move into the area. 20 degrees right now in the capital city, 19 in Peoria, and the live Doppler not indicating much of anything. Tomorrow, though, get ready for the rain. We'll detail all of that for you coming up. Dee Dee, back to you.
Thank you, Doug. We're also following wicked weather in the Northeast. Look at your screen. People walking through snowbanks as snowplow drivers work to clear the roads. This storm moving from the Midwest and into New England over the weekend, bringing heavy snow, strong winds. Look at that. And freezing rain. The cold air is expected to spill out across the country as far south as Florida, leaving most of the continental U.S. with below average temperatures. Now back here at home in Arlington Heights, a tragic story. A 12-year-old girl dies after a snowbank collapsed on top of her. Police say she was with a 9-year-old friend playing outside of a church Sunday. The girls' families were inside that church attending service. Both girls were taken to the hospital where the 12-year-old was pronounced dead. The 9-year-old is being treated for hypothermia. First on Fox, there are still big snow plows across central Illinois tonight after last week's storm, and now many want to know if Public Works will ask more funding for snow emergencies in their first budget workshop, which is slated for tomorrow. Fox's Amanda Henderson joining us live with what people would like to see happen tonight. Amanda?
Dee Dee, some believe that Public Works did a good job de-icing all the roads after that snow and ice. However, some believe differently, but with a budget hearing and workshop tomorrow for Public Works, everyone has an opinion. 1 week later, and with frigid temperatures, the snow hasn't gone anywhere.
There are a lot of understanding individuals, so they appreciated the hard work of the Public Works getting out there.
Some say their roads were taken care of right away by the city's Public Works Department, but there is still room for improvement.
I thought they did an excellent job. The only thing is that we got to find a way to get our driveways taken care of.
With Public Works set to have their first budget workshop tomorrow, Ward 5 Alderman Andrew Proctor says it is a chance to discuss any changes they would like to see.
I'd rather provide our Public Works equipment, people more equipment to do their job throughout the year than just certain snow events that happen every now and then.
And where the money for those changes can come from.
Oh, it'd be helpful, but I don't know if we can afford it. I'm 80 years old. If they get more money for it, fine. If they can't afford it, I have no qualms about just doing it with the status quo.
Without impacting taxpayers.
So that's something we're going to have to look at and see how much is being funded, but also see how much we can maybe shift some dollars from the contract work to more of what the city crews do.
In short, to make sure the roads are safe and clear for drivers year-round. We are scheduled to get some warmer temperatures tomorrow, so when talking with Alderman Proctor, he says that he's already submitted some salting requests, so that way if any of this ice or snow melts and gets in the roads, there's less of a risk of it re-icing over. For now, live in Springfield, Amanda Henderson, Fox Springfield News at 9.
All right, thank you for that report, Amanda. Now, we did reach out to Springfield Public Works, and they say tomorrow they will be providing City Council with initiatives that could be expanded if they have more staffing. As we deal with these bitterly cold temperatures and wind chill, it can be dangerous. Medical experts say frostbite could take only minutes to set in, especially if you're homeless.
He got pneumonia and died on the streets. And we have had another homeless person freeze to death on the street.
Shelter officials say they've seen people get frostbite from sleeping outside in the past, but so far so good this winter. Experts remind you to dress in layers and of course cover up your face, your fingers, your toes, all to prevent frostbite. Remember, your severe weather coverage does not stop here. Download the Fox Illinois weather app for urgent alerts sent right to your phone. Top stories we're following tonight. Right now, Springfield police are still looking for a person of interest in a shooting that injured a baby. As Fox's Anna Espinoza reports, this has the neighborhood on edge. What'd you find out, Anna?
Many that still live in the area are shocked after hearing the news that a baby was shot in their neighborhood.
It's always bad when you hear something like that, but even worse when it happens to a baby or a toddler.
On Sunday morning, just after 8 o'clock, Springfield police responded to a report of shots fired on the 100 block of West Laurel in Springfield.
It happens, but it don't usually happen over here, so it's kind of shocking.
When the police arrived on scene, they found a baby girl under the age of 1 shot in the lower half of her body. The baby was transported to HSHS St. John's Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but this now has many neighbors on edge, including a neighbor that has a young grandson.
You know, we kind of explained to him the bad side and good sides to guns, why they help, and you know, the dangers of them.
And here where the incident occurred, there's a daycare.
My mom has a daycare, so she has to worry about stuff like that. She has to make sure kids are safe.
But according to neighbors, crime isn't common on their streets.
It's not a bad area. You know, this is an isolated incident. It's an unfortunate incident, but it's isolated. You know, things like this don't happen commonly around here.
The Springfield Police Department has identified 30-year-old Tarvell Williams as a person of interest.
Seen the picture, and he doesn't look familiar. So, I mean, it's a pretty close neighborhood. You may not know him by name, but you know the people. And we've not recognized that guy or anything, so I don't think he's from like this immediate area.
And there are still many unanswered questions about this incident, but we have reached out to the Springfield Police Department and they tell us that this is an active investigation and they are still searching for that person of interest. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Anna. Fire crews in Champaign investigating a church fire. Can see those flames coming up in that video behind me. Champaign and Urbana fire departments called out right here to the 800 block of East Bradley around 3 o'clock this morning. Now, once on scene, firefighters began battling heavy smoke, flames, upgrading it to a 2-alarm fire. Thankfully, no one was injured, but crews were out there for hours securing the structure. The cause of the fire is still unknown. A Rantoul man facing 12 drug and weapons charges tonight. Here he is. 48-year-old Carlos Mendoza was arrested after police say they found more than 100 pounds of marijuana, heroin, crystal meth, and firearms in his home. Police say 2 of the rifles were stolen. Mendoza's charges include cannabis trafficking, possession of a firearm by a felon, and armed violence. His bond is set at $1 million. Also tonight, a special counsel to former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner says his administration reclassified 2,500 jobs. Applicants' political connections will no longer be considered during the hiring process. An investigation found people with political connections were hired by the Illinois Department of Transportation under former governors Rod Blagojevich and Pat Quinn. Making headlines tonight, Senator Kamala Harris announced plans to run for president in 2020. The California Democrat says she plans to fight what she sees as the injustices of the Trump presidency. The announcement came earlier today as she appeared on Good Morning America. Harris's campaign releasing a brief video on social media as well. Her official campaign kickoff will take place next Sunday in Oakland, California, where she was born. And 7 other people have already thrown their hats into the ring. We've listed them out on the screen for you. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, former Housing Secretary Julian Castro, former politicians John Delaney and Richard Ojeda, and entrepreneur Andrew Yang. As the government shutdown drags on now on day 31, President Trump is offering Democrats 3 more years of protections from deportation for Dreamers and for others covered by temporary protection status. In exchange, he wants nearly $6 billion for a border wall. Democrats, they're not interested.
If the president can arbitrarily shut down the government now, he will do it time and again.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will bring the president's plan to a vote on Tuesday. Both parties plan to push their own legislature. Neither plan has any chance of reaching the president's desk, meaning the shutdown will continue. And this all while the Transportation Security Administration says 1 in 10 of its officers called out of work on Sunday as this federal government shutdown continues. That 10% of unscheduled absences compared to 3.1% on the same date a year ago. The TSA said despite the high rate of unscheduled absences, wait times were within normal TSA times. The U.S. now in the 5th week of the longest government shutdown on record. And the shutdown also impacting survivors of sexual assaults. State House reporter Rachel Droz tells us more on our findings.
More than half of the Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assaults funding comes from the feds, and if the government doesn't reopen soon, tough decisions will have to be made.
Rape victims and survivors aren't part of this problem, and shouldn't be used in any way as part of the solution.
The Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assault has 30 rape crisis centers throughout the state. If the government doesn't reopen, ICASA's federal funding will run out on March 1st, but the effects will be felt sooner.
As programs have vacancies for their counseling and advocacy positions, they'll have to make decisions on how comfortable they are filling those positions, given that they're not certain what's going to happen after they bring somebody on board.
ICASA's rape crisis centers are nonprofits and therefore don't have large reserve funds.
If they don't have funding, then they will have to reduce staffing and they will have to reduce services. It'll just be a matter of how much and by when.
Social service agencies in Illinois have learned to cope with missed payments. During the 2 years Illinois didn't have a state budget, agencies went 14 months without state payments. But this time, at least for ICASA, things are different.
So it's true that we learned some things through the state budget impasse, but we really didn't expect the federal government to shut down and to have a length of shutdown that's this long and to have such a direct impact on the rape crisis programs.
That being said, ICASA plans to do everything in its power to not impact services for people needing their crisis centers.
We don't want any survivor to give any second thought about coming to their rape crisis center for services because of this shutdown.
The comptroller's office tells me that during this partial government shutdown, they'll be expediting payments to rape crisis centers.
Today is the official holiday honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The civil rights icon was born January 15, 1929. The federal law creating the holiday in King's honor was passed in 1983 after years of organizing by supporters. MLK Day was designated as a national day of service by Congress in 1994. President Trump marking the day with a brief unannounced visit to the civil rights icon's memorial on the National Mall. You can see him there, joined by Vice President Mike Pence. Mr. Trump laying a wreath by the foot of the memorial before quickly returning to his motorcade. Trump's visit came on the 31st day of this government shutdown, which has left the National Park Service, which oversees the memorial site, unfunded. And around Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker and other state officials honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today, giving back. Let's take a closer look. Pritzker taking the time to volunteer at the City Year MLK Day of Service in Chicago. City Year is an education organization focusing on helping students. You can see a lot of students in there. Pritzker says volunteering is the perfect way to remember King's legacy.
All of us, from citizens to elected officials, people at all levels of income and education, of different races and backgrounds, can take action and have an impact.
Other officials at the Day of Service, including Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, Treasurer Michael Frerichs, and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. There was also a unity march in Springfield. It happened this morning. It started at Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church. The protesters took to the streets right there, spreading Martin Luther King's message.
No matter how the weather is, it's a dream that still stay alive in my heart, and it shall stay alive in your heart as well. We shall overcome.
And this march all ending at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church today. As we head to break, coming up next, another major department store filing for bankruptcy. How this will impact Springfield shoppers. And opioid overdose deaths on the rise. A look at the numbers here in Illinois and what's being done to combat the trends. Plus, you may have looked up Sunday night as the early morning hours saw a very rare moon. We'll tell you when's the next time you'll see it again. In our question of the day, about 10% of us say this is the first thing we do when we get out of bed in the morning. What do you think?
You are watching Fox Springfield News at 9 with Dee Dee Gatton, John Rieger, Stacy Skryzak, Chief Meteorologist Cheryl Lemke, and Sports with Donnie Tillman. This is Fox Springfield News at 9.